that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Suttree by McCarthy. Right off the bat, I'll say this won't be for everyone. You will either vibe with it, or you won't. You're not wrong for either one. But this is a divisive work, and it will not work for everyone. I would say Blood Meridian, for as depraved as it gets, is a way easier novel than this one is. This is very dense. People say a lot of the vocabulary is. I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's the way the sentences are structured. The way the story goes. And of course you have this signature Cormac McCarthy's lack of quotation, which is something he never does, or hates to do, and very rarely uses it. And I feel in Blood Meridian, did it trip me up? Yeah, but I got used to it. This was a struggle. Not to say that I'm negative. I liked the book. I didn't love it, and I can't say I was particularly having a fun time while going through it, because it was hard to kind of dissect. Some parts in this book are a lot easier to get into. Other parts are more of a struggle. But this book there's no way to spoil this book, because the plot is not really the point. Sure, in Blood Meridian, we have the scalp hunters, we have the violence, the death, the decay, Judge Holden. You know, when I get to All the Pretty Horses in that trilogy, you know, it's just a straight up Western, minus the darkness, or as much darkness as in Blood Meridian. And then there's some other ones which I have not read, which I'll get to eventually. But this one is ultimately about Suttree's life. Like, I feel in 400 pages we really got to know the man and just see him exist in life. And when you read the book, you may feel it to be extremely meandering, which it is. And to feel like, well, Suttree didn't vastly change by the end of the novel. What even is this? That's how I felt with Catcher in the Rye when I read that back in high school. I was very much like, what was the point? Holden didn't really change. I would say with this, there is change. It's a bit more subtle. Suttree, this book, is essentially like real life. You do have dramatic moments in your life, but typically your life's very boring, right? That's kind of Suttree. Suttree is a man who's clearly educated, who was born into a wealthy family, but is now a fisherman and lives with the downtrodden. And one important factor at the beginning of the book, again, I'm not really spoiling anything in it. The only way to enjoy Suttree, or to not enjoy Suttree, or to understand it, is to read it. That's the only way around it. But he was supposed to be a twin, but his brother died at birth. He was stillborn. So he always kind of has that as a part of him, the fact that there's an aspect of him that should exist but doesn't. And we learn a lot about him. The biggest thing, I think I'll say for spoilers, because I think just kind of experiencing and understanding him better and dynamically seeing that in the text, I think just helps you better. But ultimately, this story, we follow Suttree as he hangs out with many strange characters, favorite being, of course, Harrogate, who does in fact have sex with watermelons. But it's just vignettes, these little moments in time of this person's life. And it's quite reflective. Other times it can be quite silly. At other times it can be deep, powerful, and lasting. And it just depends on the section you're at, because just like real life, there's a lot of meandering. There is no ultimate plot here. I mean, Suttree is just living life. It's honestly one of the best books that McCarthy's ever written. But again, I can't even say that I was enjoying it the whole way through. There's certainly moments where I absolutely did, but the whole thing, no. But it deals with a lot. There's a lot of themes here. From abandonment and loneliness, finding your place in the world. A lot of times, some of the most transcendent and spiritual moments come just by existing in life, by living, experiencing other people and how they live and what they do. Also about a missed potential, lost opportunity. Again, Suttree is very clearly from the offset a very intelligent, a very educated man, and he's a simple fisherman. And yet some people have accepted their lot in life but aren't necessarily happy about it. Some are genuinely content with the life they have. Suttree isn't. And can't we all relate to that in some sense or another as we work our 9 to 5s? And yet, there's that sense, that ache for potential to be something more than you are. But do you ever achieve it? Do you make that plunge? Do you work hard to be more? Like I, for instance, am trying to act. I've been taking an acting class for 6 months. At the time of recording this is the day before Thanksgiving. I'm not content where I was. So I'm trying to be something more. Not because I want to be the star of the show and I want to be the best thing ever, but because I think I have potential to be really good in it. Good at it. I don't want to waste the potential. The opportunity to be something more. So I'm pursuing it. But again, Suttree is a man who could have been so much more, but is kind of just stuck as the fisherman. So there's the loss of purpose or the loss of potential there. This book can be very pessimistic, but it is also filled to the brim with hope. And I like to do this because I'm a Star Wars Expanded Universe guy, and I'm starting to like Stephen King, and I love an interconnected world. I like the idea of Cormac McCarthy's novels being a connected universe by theme. So if you look at The Road as the end of the timeline, the world has ended. And yet The Road is one of the most hopeful works that McCarthy's ever written. You go to Blood Meridian and All the Pretty Horses and stuff. I haven't read those yet, so I can't speak to the Border trilogy. But you look at Blood Meridian, which is a rather pessimistic, very dark book. And even No Country for Old Men just seems to be the modern day equivalent of that. That perhaps the judge is still dancing in our modern day. And I believe, in all the pretty horses, we have a genuinely good person. But here, Suttree is not a virtue of good, not a virtue of evil. He's no Judge Holden. He simply is. Sometimes he's really kind. Sometimes he's really selfless. Sometimes he's really not any of those things. Sometimes he's a right bastard. But isn't that us as well? In a sense. In our complex morality and life as we go about our day by day, every day. The more I think about this book, the more I like it. But I can't say when I was reading it, I was actively enjoying it. Like I said, if it's for you, it's going to be for you. And if it's not, it won't be. But despite the meandering, some people may feel that this is a pointless, useless subversion and be bored by it. I loved that despite the fact I've read Malazan, which is like 1,000 pages, I could read this 472-page book and feel like I've lived almost an entire life with Suttree. And all the characters he met, all the friends he made along the way. To me, it's just truly an outstanding novel, well worth your time. And I know last year there's a whole controversy with Cormac, but the man's dead. And no matter what the truth of the matter is with that man, there has to be some truth, as these stories have such poignant, objective truth to share with all of us. So, I'm gonna get into spoilers. If you don't want that, there's the door. I don't have too many. But the opening, man is found dead. Uncle John has a discussion with Suttree. How surely are the dead beyond death? Death is what the living carry with them, a state of dread, like some uncanny foretaste of a bitter memory, but the dead do not remember, and nothingness is not a curse. Far from it. Also, we have Melons, as Harrogate has sex with one on a farm. There's also a very fun prison section where Suttree meets Harrogate. There's a small moment where Suttree retrieves $1.04 and gives 4 cents to the blind man, which I thought was really sweet of him. Which, remember, back then, money was a lot less, so he's earning a little bit. He reached down and tapped Suttree's knee with his forefinger. You, my good buddy, are 14-karat gold-plated son of a bitch. That's what your problem is. And that being your problem, there's not a whole lot of people in sympathy with you, or with your problem. I'm going to do you a favor. Against my better judgment, it's not going to make me no friends. I'm going to drive your stinking ass to the bus station and give you an opportunity to get out of here. I don't have any money. I never reckoned that you did. I intend to put up $5 cash money out of my own pocket to get you started. I ain't interested in where you go, but I aim to see to it that you go $5 worth in some direction, and you and me both are going to hope that you don't never come back. You want to know why? Why I'm putting up the $5. Now, I thought maybe the economics of it might interest you. I hear tell you're supposed to be real smart. I don't care. The reason I'm investing $5 in your absence is because the man whose daughter's life you ruined happens to be a friend of mine and a man I not only like but respect. I like to see him have some peace of mind. I know you ain't gonna thank me for this. Well, I like to see you hung. But I know him for a fair-minded man and a peace-loving man, and I know that he'll be happier in his mind if he just gets you out of his sight. You might even come to forget there ever was a lowlife like you, although I doubt it. What do you get out of it? Not a thing, good buddy. You said I ought to be interested in the economics of it. I said it, but I don't believe it. It's not much economics anyway. But the only dollar this way is that you won't catch the clap. I never expect you to understand. No one cares. Not important. That's where you're wrong, my friend. Everything's important. A man lives his life. He has to make that important. Whether he's a small-town country sheriff or the president, or a busted-out bum. You might understand that someday. I don't say you will. You might. Hold on. The big thing to learn is that Suttree used to be a dad. Well, should have been. Suttree was married. But for whatever reason, he walked out. He walked out on his family. He walked out on his wife. And we learn this when he finds out, probably the most powerful part of the entire book for me. I don't have any kids, but he finds out that his only child has died. The funeral's taking place. So that's part of what that last quote was from. Because they just wanted him gone. The wife, or the ex-wife, or just girlfriend, I don't know if they were ever married. She was a bit more just happy he was there, but everyone else wanted him gone. And I have mostly just quotes from this book. But at one point he meets up with this one man, this like a sheep herder or something, who also just happens to do sermons. And on this like sign it says Jesus weeps or something. So Suttree asks, why did Jesus weep? Why did Jesus weep? Don't know scriptures? Some. He wept over folks working on Sundays. Suttree smiled. Jesus wept over Lazarus, said the goat man. They don't say it, but I reckon Lazarus might have wept back when he seen himself back in the vale of tears after he'd done been safe and dead 4 days. I mean, it must have been in heaven. Jesus wouldn't have brought one back from hell, would he? I'd hate to get to heaven and then get recalled. What about you? I guess so. You can bet I intend to ask him when I see him. Ask who? Jesus? You're gonna ask Jesus about Lazarus? Sure. One of you? Oh, I intend to have some questions for him. I'll be talking to him someday, just like I'm talking to you. And I better have something to say. You see, man, he's scratching to make it. Think once he got it made, everything be alright. But you don't never have it made. Don't care who you are. Look up one morning, and you an old man. You got nothing to say to your brother. Don't know more than when you started. We also get introduced to a Native American named Michael. He was a pretty cool guy. Harrogate throughout the book just continues to do crazy and wacky things. We could be here all day just on we could do like an hour discourse on Harrogate alone, but I don't feel like doing that today. Suttree and Leonard, burial at sea. So just a wacky portion of the story, because Leonard has a mom and dad. And dad has passed away, but he left an inheritance or something of the sort. But taxes and all that stuff once it's found out that he's dead. So, or it must have not been a will, it must have been something else. But the Leonard decides to just keep. I guess he killed over and died at some other day. His father. So he decides, I'm just gonna keep pretending he's alive. So he starts stinking up the house. And then he asks Suttree to help bury him. And Suttree's like, no, just go tell the police that he's dead. Like, but then they're gonna know that he's been dead for a while, that I didn't call it in. So it's a whole thing, but they basically have to shove a dead guy off of his boat, and I just thought that was hilarious. I have two more quotes. And I think I was gonna call it a night because honestly, there's a lot of things in review where I feel inadequate to discuss. This is one of them. Plus, it's really late at night, and I'm getting tired. But also, on top of all that, Cormac McCarthy, on top of everything else, has been analyzed and discussed verbatim online by other YouTubers, by professional professors and stuff. Like they discuss these books. So, I'm not gonna say anything new. I never even went to college, but like I said, as I was reading through this book, I can't say I was enjoying every second of it. But whenever I think about it, it's so positive. And the prose are exquisite as well. I know there's different qualities to a book. I was actually just watching a video today by another booktuber, a lady, on a whole bunch of different topics, but um, a book having good plot, having good characters, having good prose, those are all different measures or good themes and all that. And it is just a pretty word salad for one, but there is deeper stuff beyond the surface for sure in this book. On a wild night, he went through the dark of the apple orchards downriver while storm swept in, and lightning marked him out with his empty sack. The trees reared like horses all about him in the wind, and the fruit fell hard to the ground like the discordant clop of hooves. Suttree stood among the screaming leaves and called the lightning down. It cracked and boomed about, and he pointed out the darkened heart within him and cried for light. If there be any art in the weathers of this earth, or char these bones to coal, if you can. A blackened rag in the rain, he sat with his back to a tree and watched the storm move on over the city. Am I a monster? Are there monsters in me? Would you like to confess? Said the priest. I did it, said Suttree, a quick smile. I like some wine. You can't have any wine, said a nurse voice. The priest bent to open his little leather case and took out a cruet. You had a close call, he said. All my life I did. He tipped wine drops in the bird tongue spout down Suttree's throat. Suttree closed his eyes to savor it. Do you have any more? Just a drop, not too much, I don't think. That works. Are you feeling better? Yes. God must have been watching over you. You very nearly died. You would not believe what watches. Oh, he's not a thing. Nothing ever stops moving. Is that what you learned? I learned that there is one Suttree and one Suttree only. I see, said the priest. Suttree shook his head. No, he said, you don't. The days are long and lonely. No one came. Ultimately, this novel ends with Suttree deciding to leave Knoxville, which is where this book takes place in the 1950s. I probably should have said that in non-spoilers, but it's too late for that. I think what's also interesting about this book is that it's a bit autobiographical. I mean, we get the other things in here, like Suttree living with a prostitute for a bit, and kind of like they're both seemingly pretending they have a better life than they do. And the recurring theme of like fatherhood or pregnancy and dead infants. But it's hinted at that maybe the prostitute got pregnant from him, and of course it's like another stillborn. But also the fact that Suttree is a twin of a stillborn. But this is semi-autobiographical. McCarthy did live in Tennessee. He lived there most of his life. Or not Tennessee, Knoxville. And he did eventually move. He moved to El Paso, Texas for a bit, and I forget where he ended up in the end, but it's interesting to try to decipher which parts are McCarthy and which parts are exaggerated for fiction. But it's a good read, like I said, and it's not for everybody. But I think this is a book, much like Blood Meridian, that I have to reread to fully appreciate more and more of what's going on beneath the surface. But make no mistake, Suttree is one of the most complicated characters you can read about. There's more nuance than is shown on the surface because of how McCarthy chose to write this story. I completely forgot my thought before, because there's a lot of noise going on outside. And I like to think of Cormac McCarthy's books being thematically connected in universe. So Suttree is not the extreme of Blood Meridian, but it is also not complete goodness either. Like maybe in All the Pretty Horses, I don't know, I haven't read it. He's just kind of a normal guy. So it's interesting we see this wide range throughout these books, but here we just get to see people existing. They make good decisions, they make bad ones, but at the end of the day, it just is. And I think if we're including that in the hierarchy of connecting these all, and the judge is trying to dance, but in this little area of Knoxville, he's been shunned out of dancing. I mean, there's still darkness, still murder, still deceit. But there's a lot of kindness and love in this place, too. It's kind of like a kooky Texas Gothic Twin Peaks from Harrogate to many of the other characters here. I think that kind of fits. But I really enjoyed this novel. I think just objectively speaking, it's written well. You're going into it for story. I mean, again, it's a bunch of random vignettes of somebody's life. Much like our life wouldn't be particularly interesting in every moment of every day. Which, realistic it may be, not everybody wants to read about a plot that kind of meanders and doesn't really go anywhere. But I think if you allow it to slow down and just kind of sink in, there's a lot to be garnered from this story. But I definitely will be going back to read this at some point in my life. I know I'll get more out of it a second time. I think that's how you know you found one of the greats. Anyway, until next time, maybe don't have sex with watermelons, but that's the way to go. Till next time.